At first light, the forest wakes. Dew pearls cling to leaves like tiny stars, trembling in the hush before dawn. A golden ray breaks through the canopy, painting the air in soft amber. And then, as if the sunlight itself has taken flight, a flutter of wings stirs the stillness. It drifts through the morning mist, weightless, fragile, and yet impossibly alive. A butterfly, a creature so delicate it seems born of dreams, yet shaped by millions of years of evolution. Across every continent, except Antarctica, these winged jewels color the living world. From humid jungles to alpine meadows, from desert oases to backyard gardens, butterflies appear wherever the earth breathes green. They are fleeting visitors, symbols of grace and impermanence, but beneath their beauty lies a story of resilience, transformation, and survival. The butterfly, member of the order Lepidoptera, meaning scale-winged, is one of nature's most astonishing creations. Its wings are cloaked in microscopic scales, overlapping like tiles on a mosaic, scattering light into 1,000 iridescent hues. Each color, each pattern is both art and armor, evolved to attract, warn, or conceal. There are more than 19,000 known species of butterflies, each an experiment in the endless creativity of life. The monarch, Danius pexippus, drifts on thermal winds across continents. The blue morpho, Morpho manilius, shimmers like a living sapphire in the rainforests of South America. And the common grass yellow dances above the fields of Asia, bright as the sunflowers it visits. But no matter their shape or color, all butterflies share one story: the miraculous transformation from crawling caterpillar to creature of flight. In that metamorphosis lies one of the most extraordinary journeys in the natural world. Butterflies are wanderers of every realm touched by warmth and light. In the tropics, they flourish in abundance. Rainforests hum with color, emerald swallowtails flashing emerald green through the undergrowth, glasswings gliding like ghosts through shafts of sunlight. In temperate meadows, they trace patterns between wildflowers, their movements synchronized with the blooming of the seasons. Even in the high mountains of Tibet or the Arctic edges of Scandinavia, hardy species emerge during the brief summer, racing against time to feed, mate, and lay the foundation for the next generation before frost returns. Their habitats are as varied as their forms: open grasslands where nectar flows freely, forest canopies alive with filtered light, riverbanks lined with mineral-rich mud that males drink from to gain essential salts. Some thrive only where a single species of plant grows, a fragile partnership that ties their fate to the health of an entire ecosystem. The butterfly's world is one of constant change, a rhythm of light, temperature, and growth. In spring, warmth awakens the hidden chrysalises that have endured the long sleep of winter. From these silent tombs, new wings unfurl. They rise into a world reborn with blossoms, beginning a cycle that will ripple through the months ahead. Summer is their season of abundance. Meadows alive with color, air shimmering with movement. Yet even at their most vibrant, the shadow of impermanence lingers. A butterfly's life is brief. Some live mere days, others a few weeks. Their existence is a delicate balance between abundance and loss, beauty and decay. As the days shorten, many species face the turning of the year in remarkable ways. Some, like the monarchs of North America, embark on a journey that defies imagination, migrating thousands of kilometers to escape the cold, guided by instinct, the angle of the sun, and perhaps the pull of an ancient memory written into their genes. Others retreat into stillness, eggs, larvae, or pupa, enduring the harsh season beneath bark or soil, waiting for the warmth to return. To many, butterflies are symbols of joy and fragility, but ecologically, they are keystones of connection. As pollinators, they weave invisible threads between plant and flower, ensuring the continuity of countless species. Their feeding habits sustain the renewal of forests, meadows, and gardens alike. At the same time, they are food for others. Birds, reptiles, spiders, and even ants depend on them. Their presence or absence can reveal the health of an entire environment. In this sense, butterflies are not only beautiful, they are messengers. Their delicate wings mirror the balance of nature itself, where even the slightest disturbance can ripple through the web of life. For centuries, humans have looked upon butterflies with wonder. In Japan, they are seen as souls of the departed. In Mexico, they are the returning spirits of ancestors during Dia de los Muertos. Across cultures, they embody transformation, the quiet promise that from stillness, something radiant may emerge. But this symbolism is more than myth. It reflects the butterfly's own truth, that from stillness, life can begin anew. Yet to truly understand the butterfly, one must look beyond its fragile wings, into the landscapes that sustain it. For every flutter through sunlight, there is a hidden world of roots and leaves, of predators and storms shaping its every breath. From dense tropical forests to the edges of human gardens, these environments form the living stage on which the butterfly's story unfolds. To understand its grace, we must first explore the world it calls home.
The butterfly's realm is painted across every corner of the living world. In the tropics, sunlight filters through cathedral-like forests, where vines twist and orchids bloom in perpetual summer. Here, butterflies are everywhere, tiny sparks of motion drifting through shafts of light. Blue morphos glide along rivers like living mirrors, their wings flashing silver and cobalt with every beat. Around them, the humid air hums with life, frogs calling, cicadas buzzing, and birds darting through layers of emerald green. Further north, in temperate meadows, butterflies trace lazy arcs between wildflowers, buttercups, daisies, lavender, clover. Each patch of color offers both refuge and resource. A single meadow can host dozens of species, each adapted to bloom and feed within a narrow window of time. When the wind sweeps through the grass, it carries 1,000 tiny voyagers, each on a mission as old as the earth itself. Even the edges of deserts hold life for the resilient. Here, butterflies like the painted lady endure extremes of heat and scarcity, their larvae feeding on hardy thistles and mallows that rise from the dust after rare rains. And in the cloud forests of Central and South America, mist-drenched leaves serve as runways for the glasswings. Transparent butterflies, so delicate they seem made of air. Their invisibility a perfect defense against the eyes of predators. From rainforests to tundra, the world of butterflies is a mosaic of adaptation. Proof that even the most fragile beings can carve their place in the harshest landscapes. Where butterflies live, life abounds. They are never alone. Their presence often signals a thriving web of biodiversity. Plants, insects, birds, and mammals bound together in silent cooperation. In tropical jungles, The same blossoms that lure butterflies also feed hummingbirds and bees, ensuring cross-pollination through constant visitation. Frogs perch on broad leaves below, waiting for insects drawn to the same nectar. In the meadows of Europe, field mice gather fallen seeds from flowers pollinated hours before by butterflies. Even predators benefit. Dragonflies and birds time their hunts to coincide with peak butterfly activity, each flutter in the air marking a possible meal. This is how ecosystems breathe, through the ceaseless exchange of energy between countless interconnected lives. The butterfly is both participant and catalyst, a small being, yet a vital thread in the grand design. Among the roots, another world stirs. Ants often guard caterpillars in exchange for sweet secretions produced from their bodies, a delicate pact of protection and sustenance. In forests, leaf litter becomes the nursery of future generations, where eggs are hidden, larvae feed unseen, and metamorphosis begins in silence. Even in death, butterflies return their gift to the earth, nourishing the soil that will one day feed the flowers their descendants depend on. Biodiversity is not just a measure of life, it is a measure of balance. And where butterflies thrive, balance endures. The butterfly's purpose extends far beyond beauty. Each flutter through sunlight serves the quiet rhythm of the planet. As pollinators, they play a subtle yet essential role. Unlike bees, they do not collect pollen deliberately. Instead, it clings to their legs and bodies as they feed, carried unknowingly from flower to flower. Their long, coiled proboscis allows them to sip from deep blossoms that other insects cannot reach, granting plants access to genetic diversity across great distances. Without them, many wildflowers would wither into isolation, their seeds fewer, their future uncertain. Butterflies are also a foundation species, their larvae feeding countless predators, from wasps and beetles to birds and small mammals. In this way, they sustain the chain of life, turning the energy of plants into nourishment for the wider world. Scientists often call them indicator species. When butterflies disappear, it is rarely an isolated event. It signals that something larger is amiss: a warming climate, a poisoned field, or a vanishing forest. Their sensitivity to temperature, pollution, and habitat loss make them natural messengers of environmental change. Each butterfly, in its silence, tells the story of its ecosystem's health. Their presence is a whisper of balance, their absence an alarm. In every corner of their world, butterflies are entwined in delicate relationships. Flowers depend on them for reproduction. Birds depend on them for food. Even parasites, tiny wasps, mites, and fungi, find a home within their fragile bodies. In Africa's grasslands, certain caterpillars are tended by ant colonies who guard them fiercely, guided by chemical signals. In return, the ants drink from special glands that produce droplets of sugar. The survival of both species depends on trust, evolved over millennia. In South America, butterflies gather on riverbanks to sip minerals from damp soil, a behavior known as mud puddling. The salts they absorb are vital for reproduction and are often shared during mating, transferred from male to female as a nutrient-rich gift for her eggs. Even in the smallest gestures, life finds connection. And in gardens around the world, humans too play a part, planting milkweed, lavender, or wildflowers that welcome these travelers. Each garden becomes a small sanctuary, a bridge between the human world and the wild one that sustains it. But this harmony is delicate. The habitats that cradle butterflies are under pressure. Forests cleared, fields paved, climates shifting faster than wings can follow. When a meadow is lost, it is not just a loss of flowers, but of an entire web of relationships. Larvae without food, predators without prey, soil without renewal. To see a butterfly rise into the air is to witness the culmination of 1,000 interdependent lives. To lose one is to unravel part of that invisible thread. Still, resilience endures. In abandoned farmlands, wildflowers reclaim the soil, and butterflies return, tentative at first, then abundant. In cities, they adapt to parks and rooftops, finding oases amid concrete. Nature, when given space, remembers how to heal. Yet beauty alone is not enough to ensure survival. Behind every flutter of color lies a body engineered for endurance. Scales that shield, senses that guide, instincts that span generations. To understand how butterflies thrive in a world so full of danger and change, we must look closer, beneath the wings, into the heart of adaptation. For the story of their survival is written in the very fabric of their being.
A butterfly's beauty is deceiving. Beneath the delicate shimmer of its wings lies an organism engineered by evolution for precision and survival. Every curve, every color, every flicker in the light serves a purpose. Nothing is wasted in nature's design. The wings, so fragile in appearance, are masterpieces of structure. Composed of a thin membrane stretched across a framework of veins, they are covered in microscopic scales, the dust that gives butterflies their color. These scales scatter and reflect light, creating iridescent blues, fiery oranges, and velvety blacks. Some hues come from pigments, others from structural coloration, where light itself is bent and split, painting the wings with colors that never fade. Each scale, no wider than a human hair, helps regulate temperature and streamline flight. Even the slightest damage can change how air flows over the wing, altering a butterfly's speed or agility. Yet they are masters of aerodynamics, capable of hovering like a hummingbird or darting like a leaf caught in wind. Their bodies are light but efficient. The proboscis, a coiled feeding tube, unrolls like a spring to sip nectar from deep blossoms, a perfect instrument for a diet of liquid sunlight. Their compound eyes see a world humans cannot. Ultraviolet patterns, invisible to us, glow like hidden maps on petals, guiding them unerringly to their food. Their antennae act as both compass and sensor, detecting wind, scent, and even the Earth's magnetic field during long migrations. But perhaps the most astonishing adaptation is their transformation itself, the process of metamorphosis. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar's body dissolves into a soup of cells, then rebuilds entirely. Wings, legs, eyes, all formed anew. Few creatures experience such complete rebirth, a reminder that life itself is capable of becoming something entirely different, yet still itself. The life of a butterfly is measured not in years, but in moments. From dawn to dusk, every hour is devoted to one of three things: feeding, reproducing, or surviving. As the morning warms, butterflies stir from the cool shadows, wings spread to drink in the sun. They are ectothermic. Their muscles need heat to move. Only when the sun's warmth floods their bodies can they lift into flight. In fields and forests, this ritual begins each day anew, the slow opening of wings like stained glass, catching the first light of the world. They feed by hovering among flowers, following invisible trails of scent. Some prefer open meadows filled with wildflowers, others the shaded blooms of forest understories. While sipping nectar, their legs brush pollen from stamen to pistil, completing nature's quiet transaction. A few species are drawn not to flowers, but to fruit, sap, or even carrion, gathering vital nutrients from unlikely sources. By midday, activity peaks. Males patrol territories or chase rivals in spirals of flashing color. Females glide low through vegetation, searching for the right leaf on which to lay her eggs, often the very species of plant she herself once fed on as a caterpillar. Every choice is deliberate, for her offspring will depend entirely on that plant for survival. As the day wanes, butterflies seek rest. They perch on the undersides of leaves, wings folded, muted colors to blend into the fading light. When rain threatens, they find shelter beneath petals or bark, their wings coated in a fine wax that repels water. And at night, they vanish into stillness, waiting for the sun to return and renew their fragile reign. Though they seem solitary, butterflies live in a world rich with communication, one that speaks in color, scent, and motion rather than sound. The language of color is the most obvious. Bright patterns of orange, red, and black often signal danger. Chemical toxins stored in their bodies from the plants they once consumed as caterpillars. Predators learn quickly to associate those hues with bitterness and avoid them. Some harmless species mimic the appearance of toxic ones, a strategy known as Bayesian mimicry, evolution's art of deception. Chemical communication, too, shapes their interactions. Males release pheromones to attract mates, forming invisible plumes of scent that drift through the air. Some perform intricate aerial displays, spiraling around females in dances of light. Courtship is delicate, a choreography of pursuit and retreat, guided by instinct and the brief urgency of life. Butterflies are generally solitary, yet their collective behavior can transform landscapes. During migration, millions may gather, as with the monarchs of North America, who travel from Canada to central Mexico in one of the most extraordinary journeys in the animal kingdom. They navigate by sunlight and magnetic cues, guided by an inherited map no single butterfly has ever completed. Generations are born and die along the way, each continuing a voyage that began long before them. In the tropics, some species form large roosts at night, clinging in clusters to branches for protection. Others gather at riverbanks, drawn by minerals in damp soil, a fleeting congregation of color that evaporates at the slightest disturbance. Life as a butterfly is perilous. Birds, spiders, lizards, and even ants hunt them relentlessly. To survive, evolution has armed them with a remarkable array of defenses. Camouflage is among the most effective. The underwings of many species resemble dry leaves or bark, allowing them to vanish in plain sight when at rest. Others flash bright colors only when startled, a sudden burst of warning that startles predators, buying precious seconds to escape. Some butterflies take deception further still. The owl butterfly of South America bears enormous eye-like patterns on its wings, mimicking the stare of a predator far larger than itself. Others resemble wasps or other dangerous insects, blending threat with illusion. Their flight, too, is part of their defense. The erratic, fluttering motion that seems so graceful to us confuses predators, making them difficult to predict or capture. What appears as whimsy is in truth strategy, the choreography of survival. Yet for all their fragility, butterflies endure. Their brief lives are filled with resilience, from the tender caterpillar clinging to a leaf against the wind to the emerging adult testing its new wings for the first time. Each movement, each moment is a triumph of design and adaptation. But even the finest design cannot escape the pull of the seasons. For butterflies, time is both ally and adversary, bringing warmth, abundance, and inevitable change. As the earth tilts and the air cools, their world transforms. Some will journey across continents to survive. Others will vanish into stillness, trusting the next generation to rise in their place. The rhythm of their existence is bound to the turning of the seasons, and in that rhythm lies the secret to their survival.
The world of the butterfly is shaped by time, by the slow turning of the planet and the rhythm of the seasons. Each change in temperature, each shift in light ripples through their fragile lives. In spring, the air awakens, the earth warms, flowers unfold, and butterflies emerge like living petals carried by the wind. From chrysalises hidden beneath bark or buried in soil, they rise into sunlight once more, reborn from silence. This is the season of abundance. Nectar flows freely, mates are plentiful, and the sky becomes a dance of color. For a brief moment, life feels endless. But as summer deepens, the race quickens. Heat speeds their metabolism, shortening already fleeting lives. Eggs must be laid before the flowers fade, before drought or rain sweeps away their delicate world. Some species, like the painted lady, follow the bloom of wildflowers northward, chasing the shifting edge of fertility. Others remain, enduring the heat in the dappled shade, wings fraying with each passing day. Then comes autumn, the season of departure. For many, it signals the end. Yet for others, it marks the beginning of a journey few creatures on Earth can rival. Monarch butterflies, born far from the resting forests of Mexico, feel an ancient pull southward. Guided by the angle of the sun and the magnetic field of the planet, they drift on invisible highways of air, traveling thousands of kilometers to reach ancestral wintering grounds they have never seen. Entire generations live and die along the way, yet somehow the lineage remembers the path. And finally, winter, the great stillness. Most butterflies cannot survive the cold in their adult form. Instead, they hide in different guises, as eggs nestled beneath leaves, as larvae curled beneath the soil, or as pupae suspended in crystalline shells. Only a few endure as adults, using natural antifreeze in their blood to withstand the frost. Life slows to a whisper, waiting for warmth to return. In this eternal cycle, the butterfly lives not just through the body, but through time itself. Each generation, a heartbeat in nature's grand rhythm. Survival, for a creature so delicate, is a daily act of courage. The butterfly's world teems with danger. Birds scan the air for a flicker of color. Spiders weave invisible traps between blossoms. Mantises lie in wait, disguised as petals themselves. From the moment a butterfly's egg is laid, peril surrounds it. Many are devoured before they ever hatch.
Caterpillars, slow and vulnerable, face a gauntlet of predators: wasps, beetles, ants, and even their own kind. To survive, they adopt 1,000 disguises. Some mimic bird droppings. Others blend perfectly with leaves. A few even bear false eyes or spines, a show of menace they do not possess. But danger is not always seen. Tiny parasitic wasps lay their eggs inside living caterpillars, their larvae consuming their host from within. It is a harsh truth of nature that every life sustains another. And so, even in their suffering, butterflies feed the cycle of existence. For adults, survival becomes a matter of speed and awareness. Their wide eyes detect movement in almost every direction, allowing them to flee in the split second between life and death. Some species, like the postman butterfly, signal their toxicity with bold color, a warning to would-be predators that beauty can also be poison. Others take the opposite path, vanishing into the background, their wings folded to mimic bark or stone. But no adaptation guarantees safety forever. Each flight into sunlight carries risk. Every bloom may conceal a predator. Still, they rise, fragile, fearless, and fleeting, a testament to nature's quiet defiance. To endure a world so unpredictable, butterflies have evolved ingenious strategies. Some species synchronize their life cycles with the seasons, emerging only when conditions are perfect. The European small tortoiseshell overwinters as an adult, hidden in hollow trees or attics, waiting for the first warmth of spring to reawaken. Others, like the alpine butterflies, compress their entire development into a few short weeks of summer, racing against the cold. Migration remains one of the most extraordinary adaptations of all. The monarch's voyage across North America spans up to 4,800 kilometers, involving multiple generations that each continue a journey they never began. No single butterfly completes the migration, yet together they form an unbroken chain, living bridges between seasons, between worlds. Scientists still do not fully understand how they navigate, but it is believed they use a combination of celestial cues and the Earth's magnetic field, guided by an instinct older than memory itself. Another remarkable behavior is puddling, the gathering of butterflies on damp soil, riverbanks, or animal tracks. Here, they drink not nectar, but water rich in minerals, vital for reproduction and survival. Males often absorb salts they later transfer to females during mating, ensuring the next generation begins with strength. Butterflies also display thermoregulation behaviors, adjusting their posture to control body temperature. On cool mornings, they bask with wings open wide to absorb heat. Under scorching midday suns, they angle their bodies to minimize exposure. Some species even shift the color of their wings slightly across the year, darker shades in cooler seasons to absorb warmth, lighter hues in hotter months to reflect it. Even their flight is an act of adaptation. The irregular, seemingly random flutter that delights human eyes is a defensive dance, making it harder for predators to predict their path. What looks like play is in truth the physics of survival. Through all these strategies runs a single thread: endurance. For butterflies, survival is a conversation between fragility and resilience. Their world can change in an instant, a storm tearing through the forest, a drought drying the meadows, or a sudden cold snapping the fragile bridge of life from one season to the next. Yet they persist, year after year, against all odds. They rise again with the flowers. Their resilience is not measured in strength, but in continuity, in the quiet persistence of wings that return generation after generation, no matter how often they are scattered by the wind.
In their brevity lies their brilliance. Every life is short, but it leaves behind a legacy of flight, of color, of renewal. Through adaptation and instinct, butterflies have survived ice ages, droughts, and extinction events that erased giants from the earth. They are, in every sense, survivors, elegant, enduring, eternal. But as fierce as nature can be, no force has tested the butterfly more than our own. The meadows that once shimmered with color now lie silent beneath concrete. Forests where wings once danced in sunlight fall to chainsaws and flame. The greatest challenge now comes not from predators or seasons, but from humankind. And the struggle for their survival has entered a new and uncertain chapter.
For as long as humans have walked among flowers, butterflies have followed. Ancient peoples carved their forms into pottery and painted their likeness onto cave walls long before the written word. In nearly every culture, butterflies have been a symbol of rebirth, the soul, or the fleeting nature of life itself. To the Aztecs, they represented warriors fallen in battle, returning as messengers of the gods. In China, they were emblems of joy and immortality. In Greece, Psyche meant both soul and butterfly, a word that joined human spirit to the flutter of wings. For centuries, humans admired butterflies from afar. Collectors in the 18th and 19th centuries marveled at their colors, pinning them beneath glass, cataloging their beauty in fragile museums of mortality. Science learned much from these collections about species, evolution, and the vast diversity of life. But admiration also came at a cost. In pursuit of beauty, we too often forgot that it was alive. And as humanity spread, transforming forests into fields and cities, the world that had once nurtured these creatures began to shrink. Meadows were plowed, forests cleared, wetlands drained. What we saw as progress, the butterfly experienced as loss. Today, the threats facing butterflies are silent but immense. The greatest of them all is habitat loss. Every butterfly is tied to the plants it depends on, not only for nectar, but for reproduction. A caterpillar can feed on only a narrow range of host plants, and when those plants disappear, so too does its chance to live. A single mowed field, a vanished hedgerow, a cleared woodland edge, each erases an entire microcosm of life. Pesticides and pollution further compound the danger. Chemicals designed to kill pests often poison all insects indiscriminately, seeping into soil and waterways, destroying delicate balances built over millennia. The air that once carried fragrance and pollen now carries toxins that disrupt life's quiet machinery. Then there is climate change, the slow yet relentless tide reshaping the butterfly's world. Rising temperatures confuse migration cues, pushing some species too far north, while others emerge before their host plants bloom. Extreme weather, floods, droughts, and storms can wipe out entire populations in a single season. In some regions, once familiar butterflies have vanished entirely, leaving behind empty skies. And so what was once the flutter of abundance has grown quiet. In Europe, studies show butterfly numbers have declined by over 50% in recent decades. Across the Americas, monarch populations have plummeted, their overwintering forests shrinking each year. Even in tropical rainforests, where diversity once seemed infinite, silence creeps in where color once danced. Yet the tragedy is not that they are dying, but that they are fading so quietly, so invisibly, that many may disappear before we even notice they are gone. But not all stories end in loss. Across the world, people are fighting to restore the skies with color. In Mexico, local communities and conservationists protect the monarch butterfly biosphere reserve, where millions of migrating butterflies blanket the Oyamo fir forests each winter. Each tree becomes a living tapestry. Wings overlapping wings, a breathing ocean of orange and black. Through education and sustainable tourism, nearby villages find livelihoods in preservation rather than deforestation. In the United Kingdom, projects like Butterfly Conservation's Big Butterfly Count enlist thousands of citizens each summer to record sightings, transforming ordinary people into guardians of data. Similar initiatives now span continents, from India to Canada, proof that small observations, multiplied across millions, can illuminate patterns of change invisible to science alone. Habitat restoration is also spreading. Farmers leave strips of wildflowers between crops. Urban planners design pollinator corridors through cities. Gardeners reintroduce native plants like milkweed and nettle, inviting butterflies back into the human landscape. Even the smallest patch of green can become a sanctuary, a reminder that coexistence is possible if we choose it. Research and breeding programs have also brought hope. In captive facilities, endangered species such as the British large blue, Fingara cerean, have been reintroduced to the wild after decades of extinction. Their success depends on recreating not only the butterfly's environment, but the entire web of relationships, ants, plants, and microclimates that sustain them. It is a lesson in humility. To save one species, we must honor the complexity of all life. Butterflies are not just ornaments of the wild. They are the living pulse of ecosystems. Their decline is a warning, a whisper from the natural world that balance is breaking. Yet they are also a symbol of what can be restored. Unlike many creatures, butterflies respond quickly to change. Give them food, shelter, and safety, and they return. Their recovery is a story that can be written in a single season. Every flower planted, every pesticide avoided, every meadow left untamed contributes to the quiet revival of their kind. In protecting butterflies, we protect something far greater, the intricate networks of life that sustain our own existence. To watch a butterfly land on a flower is to witness the simplest form of harmony. Energy exchanged, life renewed, beauty born from balance. It is also a glimpse of what we stand to lose if we turn away. Our species has learned to fly higher, farther, and faster than any butterfly ever could. Yet in our ascent, we have forgotten the grace of small things, the miracle of fragility surviving in a vast, indifferent world. The butterfly reminds us that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it flutters, silently, on wings thinner than paper. In the end, the fate of the butterfly mirrors our own. Their story is one of transformation, of renewal through change, of survival through adaptation. But whether they continue to rise each spring will depend not on nature's generosity, but on humanity's restraint. The future of these wings of color lies in our hands, and what we choose to protect will define not only their tomorrow, but ours.
From the moment the first light touches the morning dew, a butterfly takes flight, delicate, weightless, and impossibly alive. We have followed its journey, through forests and meadows, over mountains and oceans, across seasons of abundance and scarcity. We've seen how each stage of its life, from egg to caterpillar, from chrysalis to wings, embodies the endless rhythm of renewal that sustains all living things. Every flutter, every transformation tells a universal truth. Life endures through change. For all their fragility, butterflies are among the most resilient beings on Earth. They have danced through epochs of extinction, through the rise and fall of continents, through the storms of evolution itself. They remind us that survival is not always about strength. Sometimes it is about grace. In the tapestry of ecosystems, they are both threads and weavers. They pollinate flowers that feed countless others, sustain birds and small mammals, and keep entire web foods in balance.
Their presence signals health, their absence warns of decline. Through the butterfly, we glimpse the essence of nature's design. Everything connected, everything temporary, everything beautiful, because it is brief. There is a moment, quiet, fleeting, when a butterfly lands and the world seems to pause. Its wings, lit by sunlight, reveal colors too vivid to last. For that heartbeat of stillness, it feels as if time itself is holding its breath. Then, as suddenly as it arrived, it lifts away, leaving behind nothing but wonder. Perhaps that is what makes butterflies so captivating. They are living reminders that beauty does not cling. It visits, it moves, it changes. In their flight, there is no fear of impermanence, only trust in the next beginning. In gardens, forests, and fields, each butterfly carries a message written in silence that life, in all its fragility, is still enough to fill the sky with color. When the last monarch glides through the mountain air, when a blue morpho drifts between beams of rainforest light, when a swallowtail hovers over a single bloom, they do not know who watches or why. Yet somehow, their brief existence touches something infinite within us. Because the butterfly is not only a creature of the wild, it is a reflection of the human spirit. Our longing to rise, to change, to be more than what we were. As we stand at a turning point in our planet's story, perhaps the lesson of the butterfly is the one we need most. Transformation is possible. From decay, there can be rebirth. From stillness, flight. But such transformation demands care. The same care a butterfly gives its wings each dawn. The same care nature gives to every seed, every breeze, every drop of rain. The wild does not ask for our help, yet without it, the wild will fade, and with it, a part of ourselves. If we choose to listen, the flutter of wings can still be heard. It calls us not to dominance, but to harmony, not to conquest, but to belonging. Because to protect the butterfly is to protect the poetry of life itself. The quiet miracle that reminds us how delicate and how extraordinary our shared world truly is. And as the camera drifts upward, past the fields, past the forests, into a sky alive with movement, we see them rise again. Thousands of wings glinting gold in the sunlight, a living constellation, a promise renewed. Their journey continues, not only through the wind and the seasons, but through us.